Is this thing on? Okay. All right, it's 8 o'clock. We've got a quorum, and we'll get started. And I'm going to ask Chairman Taylor, she'll open us with prayer. What's your number?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please bow your head. Good morning, Father. Thank you for the day you've given us. We'll take the days with sunshine or rain. We ask for you to give us the wisdom that we need and the discernment to make decisions that will be beneficial to the people of the state of Georgia. Please bless those that are working hard to see that this is accomplished. We ask these things in your Son's name. Amen.
Well, I don't guess you can talk much with all that static down there. All right. This this session has been a little different than any one I've ever been to, considering we don't normally have our first meeting until about this time. And so we're going to go back and do a couple of things that I should have done already and haven't. But first off, I got some staff members I need for y'all to meet. And then I've got at least one new or two new committee members who are here this morning that I'd like to introduce. But introducing staff first because they make my life a whole lot easier. First off, Pamela Lewis, where is she? There she is, wave. She runs that office. If you don't believe that, ask Andy Welch or myself. She takes care of us and does a fantastic job. Craig Foster, where is he? Okay, raise your hand. Committee aide, does a really good job. And even though we do lose a piece of paper every now and then, we find it, don't we? As of this morning. Next is Marty Wilson, who's my person who sits in my office and keeps me straight on a lot of legal terms that we have to deal with. Not being an attorney and not being an insurance agent, it helps to have somebody who knows what they're talking about. And then we've got a young man by the name of Adam Beal, who is, where is he? Raise your hand. You see that bow tie? He ties it every morning himself.
What time does it start?
It takes him about 15 seconds, and he ties those things every morning when he gets there. Fantastic young man. And it's, Dr. Bullock, did he send you over here? Okay. So he's going to have to answer to Dr. Bullock when he gets back on what he's learned over here. So y'all be kind to him and teach him all you can. And then Lynn Whitten, Legislative Counsel. I've known Lynn ever since I've been here because I was her first customer and she was my first contact with Legislative Counsel. So we've had a great relationship and does a wonderful job. And we are kind of long in the session. This is February the 15th. Like I say, I don't normally have my first insurance meeting until about this time. But this year is a little different in that instead of us starting day one, actually it was starting day 41. Just kind of like a continuation of last year. It hadn't slowed down at all. So it's been an interesting year. I want to give you a couple of things that I use as a chairman's philosophy. Don't forget this is the first year of a 2-year term. If you don't pass this session, you still have next year. And if something doesn't get dropped till today or this early next week, and we haven't had a real good in-depth discussion about it for the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's probably going to be next year. But those of us, there's several bills out there floating around that we've been working on for the last while. PBMs and pharmacists, and then there's some legal things that we got to deal with and this kind of stuff. But we'll have those ready for you in a little while. And there's another one that I had to put a caveat on that sometimes, but this little thing, and Greg was the one that told me about this one, is a few years back, and said, poor planning on your part does not create an emergency on mine. So, that's one I go by a lot. Okay, I guess that's pretty much it. New members. I'm on my stuff. I've got down here Renita Shannon. Where is she? Right down there. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What's your number? 27. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, everybody. I'm State Representative Renita Shannon, representing Georgia House District 84, which is in DeKalb County. I came out of community organizing. I also have a insurance license and also worked in business development for the pharmaceutical and medical device industry.
No, very good. Okay. Be ready for some legislation, I think. We got one more that she's not here. Freshman that's not here. Oh, that's not good. I give her she has been very good about being here. Now we got three old heads that are not freshmen. Jeff Jones, raise your hand. He's been around a while. Heath Clark, right here, and Brad Raffensperger. So, and all three of those have or will be carrying in insurance legislation, probably this year or something. Okay, now, getting on to the work at hand. Oh, there he is. I was looking for you. Bruce Broderick, House Bill 35. If you'll come up front to the table and you'll... This is House Bill 35, substitute to House Bill 35.
LC 372333S.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee.
We got the wrong copy?
I have a later version, which I assume the later was the correct one. I have 2340S.
Okay. Let me see.
We don't have that.
Don't have that one.
Okay, well, let's make sure we're working with the right one.
That's what, Mr. Chairman, I think it's 174. 2330S is 174. HB 174.
Yeah, 174 is 2330S.
That's what Bruce said, wasn't
Oh, but that's not his bill. That's House Bill 174.
See, I have two substitutes for 35.
Okay.
The one that I passed out was the latest version. I assume
Okay.
that was the correct version.
Okay. And so now we're looking at LC 372340S.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, my intent on introducing this legislation was to create a timely accountability trail for the processing of and prevent delay in therapy for prescription products prescribed that do require a prior approval. That was my intent with the legislation. Legislative Council in drafting the legislation found that we could only apply it to a state agency, which was the Department of Community Health, which included Medicaid and our state health benefit plan. If you look at the bottom, line 17, she refers to the code section there. Originally, on line 13, I said 48 hours. I have since learned that with the CMOs that contract, we've got 1.7 million Medicaid recipients in the state of Georgia. Most of them are children, and I've learned from the CMOs, AmeriGroup and WellCare, that are the benefit managers for those children, that their contracts with DCH say 24 hours reply for prior approval. And I guess that would apply with state health benefit too. It's the logistics of it is, how many of you have had a child that has had tubes put in their ears? Okay, all right. You go to the ambulatory surgery center, they do the procedure, and they come out, and usually the doctor would prescribe an antibiotic along with some drops to use for 7 to 10 days to prevent recurring infection. And you go to the pharmacy, and the pharmacist adjudicates the claim, and it comes back with a message that this particular drug requires prior approval. And at that point, the pharmacist would contact the prescriber and let his staff know that prior approval is going to be required, and it puts a delay in therapy for that child. It's probably at least 24 hours until the next day, until it could be approved. Pharmacies do not contract directly with insurance companies. We contract with pharmacy benefit managers who are the fiduciary agent for the insurance companies. They may represent any number of insurance companies, and that's where our contract is, and that's where the message comes from the pharmacy benefit manager that it requires prior approval, that it may be a preferred or non-preferred agent for that particular plan. So anyway, that was my intent, just to create a trail of accountability, that at least some sort of response comes back once the prior approval is submitted, that you've got either a reference number or contact information to follow up on it. What happens is, with that child, the parents call in about every 15 minutes, has it gone through yet? Has it gone through yet? So it just creates a bottleneck and a delay in therapy for that child. Any questions from the committee?
24?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Won't you use that one, 23?
All right, thank you. I had a couple questions.
Sure.
One is, why is it only applicable to Medicaid and state health? Why are we unable to?
Because according to Ledge Council, we could only apply it to a state agency, Department of Community Health, and the plans that they cover.
So that means that PBMs can do whatever they want, whenever they want, to general public?
Has to do with ERISA.
ERISA?
ERISA plans, we can't regulate ERISA plans.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll look at that separate. But the other part of this, you're saying that you'll have confirmation within the 24 hours, but the confirmation is not really what you want. You want a yes or no, up or down.
At least that's some accountability. Confirmation says that somebody's got it in their hand, and you've got a contact number to follow up with it if it doesn't go through in a timely manner. The prescriber would have that contact number and at least a reference claim number.
What is the length that usually takes them to make that determination?
What happens is, when the prior approval goes in, it goes into a clinical staff that will look at it and determine that it's appropriate and that it should be covered. A lot of times they send it in and it just goes off to Never Never Land. You don't have any accountability with it. It gets lost. It's gone.
Okay. There's no way for us to put, you will get us back an answer in another 12 hours. I kind of want them to have to come up with an answer, yes or no, and not just, oh, well, we got a number to track you down. Where is there, I'd like a little more accountability to make them come across with the right answer, up or down. Anybody else?
And it may be denied. At that point, it's the patient's choice to either pay for it out of pocket and then try to seek reimbursement from their plan, or just the therapy never gets administered.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Number 20?
You mentioned 24 hours. Do you
Right.
want to amend this, your bill, to say 24 rather than 48?
Certainly. If that's the contract that the CMOs and the PBMs have with with the Department of Community Health, certainly.
That's what you understand they have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, now.
On line 13, we'll change 48 to 24.
Okay, one point. You've got 48 hours of receipt of such request, or within much lesser time as may be agreed upon by the pharmacy benefit manager under applicable agreements. So if it's got a 24-hour time frame, then that is also included in that line 14 and 15, whatever the contract says.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman.
Would they extend that to 48 though, since we put this in code?
No, if it's in contract. Am I correct, Robert?
Oh, no, you're right.
If it's in contract, you have to abide by contract, what?
Unless the statute is more restrictive, Mr. Chairman.
Right.
We would have to follow that.
Right, that's what I thought.
So if we put 24, it's more restrictive, but you don't want that. Never mind.
22?
Well, that,
That's all right.
but how often are these contracts renewed? If we put 48 in here and 2 years they come up with another contract, they can say, okay, statute says 48, we're gonna change it from 24 to 48.
But 48's the max. Well, that's true, you know,
I mean,
that
we got the
becomes the
max
top
out
end,
there,
then, yeah.
that becomes the top end, so they could come back and say in 2 years, we're gonna change contract, and then we're going 48, that's what the statute says is the max.
Okay,
So, I think we don't wanna extend it any, Mr. Chairman.
so you're asking to drop that down to 48 hours and, 24 hours, 24 hours receipt of the, of such request, and then scratch line, on line 14, where it says "or" for a lesser period, that's
No,
my.
I'd leave that in there.
Okay,
I'd leave
or
that
for,
in there.
so if it's 12 hours,
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, you're talking about
If you
children
contract-
getting medication. This is after surgery, his example. Actually, the parents ought to pay for it, but.
Opinion from the legal table?
I don't think you explored the question about whether a 24-hour turnaround is possible or whether that's mainstream, but that's a fact thing, not a legal thing. We've never received any testimony regarding what is the norm for a PBM in this type of
Are there any
relationship.
PBMs here
Right.
that want to defend themselves on the
Might
regular?
as well have a subcommittee meeting on that.
Then sure.
Okay.
I gotta check on that, Alyssa.
Lynn?
There's gotta be a way to do something. Don't get hot on that.
Okay,
I think if they got it in the contract already, let's hold to it.
all right, 25.
Am I on? That was my next question then, Mr. Chairman. I would be concerned about putting a regulatory burden on businesses. And so if you did lower it to 24, what would be the penalty if they don't make it? Because that would be my only concern. What are we doing to the business? How would we affect them negatively?
I'm gonna make an executive decision. We're gonna hold off on this bill.
Okay, certainly.
There's some questions I don't have answers to right now, and before we'll vote on this bill, I need to get in touch with some folks and have some discussions on this. If y'all don't mind, we'll just hold off and vote on it at some future date. Okay? It's 15th, okay. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We'll keep you posted on next time.
Okay, thank you.
All right, 174. You can do it from here if you want to.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I bring to you House Bill 174 that we will be working from LC 372330S. This is a bill that deals with the method of payment that an insurer may use to pay an insured's covered claims. Current law calls for the claim to be paid using legal tender, which by definition is cash money. I don't think I've seen any payments made with cash money, and in conversations with many of you, I don't think you have either. So by definition, we needed to address that. This is a bill that needs, language needs to be updated. It's not consistent with what is actually practiced in the insurance industry today. So House Bill 174 simply defines the method of payment that may be used so as to better meet the insured specific situation and to bring our law into alignment with what is actually being done in the settlement process. If you will look at lines 14, you will see further itemization of what type of payments are being used: wire transfers, cashier's checks, drafts or direct deposits, electronic fund transfers, and also the use of a general gift card which might be brought into play in an emergency situation. So these are some of the things that are actually taking place as far as payments are concerned, and this bill simply seeks to put that into code. And that's what the bill does, and if there's any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
22, Mr. Mike?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do we think we got any recourse against these insurance companies that have not been following the letter of the law over the last few years?
Last 50 years?
Yeah, I think we need to go back after them.
I think they're grandfathered.
Okay. 15? Okay. All right, 28.
Are you ready for the motion, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, ma'am.
I move do pass.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Second? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you.
Thank you.
A couple of announcements. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock in room 403 at the Capitol, we'll have a hearing on balance billing. It'll be from 2 until 4:30. So if you want to talk about it, I know it's a busy time and people will be going in and out while this hearing's going on, but I would encourage you to come if you can because it's an important issue. And then depends on how that flies as of 4:30 tomorrow afternoon. We'll probably have another insurance committee meeting Friday morning at 8 to get the House Bill 71 moving. All right, is there anything else for the good of the order? Okay, hearing none, meeting's adjourned. Thank y'all.